Well, welcome to the United Debate Show. 2 straight Premier League defeats, Liverpool just a point behind. There really is a title race on all of a sudden. That to talk about, of course, the Champions League quarter-final and indeed semi-final draw we know as well. So as ever, there is issues that are burning to be talked about, and with me to discuss them all, former United midfielder Clayton Blackmore, and alongside him from the Press Association, Simon Stone. You're both very welcome, gents. 2 straight defeats, almost unheard of, or certainly for several years. Big reaction, really, as to what happened next, and a 2-week break before United can. Yeah,
well, to be honest, I think the 2-week break's coming, it's probably come a week too late, for the lads. I mean, they've had a really tough, since December coming back, they've been playing catch-up, and they've caught up and overtaken. And I think we did need that little break where the lads they've been playing Saturday, Wednesday for the last 2 months. And I think the Liverpool game was probably a game too many. Especially with the Inter game being on the Wednesday, it's very tough. The lads were probably a little bit not on it in them, mentally, because if they had to go, it wasn't an easy game against Milan. They had, we needed to kill them off, and while it's only 1-0, they only needed to score a goal and we were out. So there's a lot of mental strain on the defence to make sure they keep a clean sheet until we got the second goal. So I just think it was a little bit of tiredness on the Saturday. And for the goals, I think it was all down to the defence. They all made individual mistakes, and it cost us a game.
That said, the 2-week break is hardly going to be a break for the vast majority of the United squad, is it? That's probably worth bearing in mind, with a few long plane flights as well.
No, absolutely, but sometimes a change of scenery can kind of give you a bit of a break, and you're around different players. And for people like Rooney this week and Ferdinand, they're going to have Gerrard chirping in their ear with England, and it'll be the same all over the world. So I think it's actually come at, probably I agree with Clayton. If it had been last week, it would have been even better, but it's here. And United, the players can draw a bit of a line under it, and the coaching staff can get out a few marker pens and try and work out what's gone wrong over the last couple of weeks, when you consider that the previous 3 months have been so brilliant.
I suppose in many ways, if those 2 defeats had come sort of spread over that 15-16 game period, it would have seemed as significant, would it?
Yeah, I mean, they've worked so hard to get into that position. But Liverpool are a good team. They had the extra day's rest, which I do think it was a big difference. That, but you've got to take what comes. We've got a big squad, and we've rested a few players, but the only ones who didn't get rest was the defence.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting sort of debate going on about when games are played and so on and so forth. I mean, looking at the fixtures for April, I mean, I've made a list of them here just to probably get them in my mind, but Liverpool seem to be playing before United four games in a row, so the onus will be on Liverpool to sort of make the headway, won't it?
Well, I mean, the thing is that there's been lots of talk about the Aston Villa game for United and when that's going to be played, but because it's now going to be played on the Sunday, Liverpool have the chance to go top. Well, psychologically, that's quite a big thing. But equally, it's quite a big thing if they don't do it. Chelsea had the chance on Saturday to claw back on United and immediately lost it. So there's various ways of looking at the scenario. And Alex Ferguson will always say we just concentrate on ourselves. Now, I suspect that's a bit of a media kind of conversation, that he won't ever want to be seen to look at anyone other than United. And I'm sure there's an element of that true. But he'll be looking to see what Liverpool do as well, and he'll be wanting to make sure that United match them.
Who do you think has the more pressure on them right now? The chaser or the one being chased?
Well, it's usually the ones who are leading, I think. It's for us to lose it now. It's in our hands. We've got a game in hand, that's 4 points. So, the goal difference, is not much in it between the top 3. So there's still a lot of long, big games coming up. And I think the Champions League itself is going to cause a lot of problems in the Premiership. And that's where Liverpool have fallen down in the past, where they've had to rest. Steven Gerrard and Torres, and I don't think they can do that if they're going to win the league.
It's an interesting dilemma for all managers. I mean, United, of course, still in the FA Cup as well. Chelsea and Liverpool, obviously in the Champions League, with those games against each other. How do you rotate? What is the best policy?
Well, I think Alex Ferguson will be looking, at little clusters of games. So United come back, they've got Villa, and there will be... certainly to an outsider, it seems bizarre that United should choose to play a game on a Sunday afternoon when they've got a Tuesday night game as well in the Champions League. But Alex Ferguson will be looking at those 2 games together, and then Sunderland the weekend after, and he'll be grouping those, and he'll be thinking, which players do I need for which game? And he obviously feels that it's better to have all his players back after the internationals for an extra day and get a team right for Villa, and then move on to Porto, than having a rushed preparation for Villa and then a better one for Porto.
Just for clarification, United had the choice of 12:45 Saturday or 4 o'clock Sunday. Is that right? And
yeah, the feeling was that if United, it was certainly on both United's website and the Villa website, official websites, which, you've got to believe this, that United had, or the game would be played at 12:45 on Saturday if Manchester United were playing the following Tuesday in the Champions League, which they are. But instead, the game is going to be played on Sunday afternoon. Now, you'd have to do a kind of map of the world to find out where the United players are all going and when they're likely to get back. But I think undoubtedly by playing on Sunday, United will have more preparation time for that Aston Villa game.
What are your thoughts on that, Clayton?
Yeah, I mean, it can work both ways, 2 ways for you. I mean, if the boys do need I think the manager knows, because he's had years and years of it, where players have come back from international duty on a Wednesday, played 12:30 on a Saturday, and a lot of the players, they're very tired from travelling, playing the game on the Wednesday, and there's not enough rest for them. And obviously he thinks that extra day is going to help him. And if we can win against Villa, it's a massive game now. We can take that then, the win. We've stopped the rot. We've lost 2 games in a row. Obviously, the 2 weeks now is going to help us, because the lads will have forgot about the 2 games they've just lost, and we're starting again now. It's a clean slate. Let's start again, win the game, and then we can take the winning mentality back into the Champions League game, and we can rest a few players maybe as well. And
yeah, it's an interesting reverse of the fixtures. I think Liverpool, go to Fulham, don't they? And United play Villa. It's the reverse of what's just gone on. So,
Fulham. This is my thought about Liverpool. If Liverpool could win every game from now until the end of the season, I think they'd put a lot of pressure on United and it'd make it hard. But can they? Fulham, no. I don't think anybody expected United to be as bad at Craven Cottage as they were, especially given that they'd beaten them twice in the last couple of weeks anyway. The fact is, Fulham have got some good results this season. They drew with Chelsea. They drew with Liverpool at Anfield. So what's to say that they're not going to beat Liverpool in a fortnight? It's not beyond the realms of possibility. I just think, for United, they've had a bad week. There's no doubt about it. They've lost a game against Liverpool, which is always a bad thing anyway. But in the context of the title, it kind of opened a little door for Liverpool. And then they've gone down to Fulham, had a hard game down there, and lost 2 matches on the trot. The spin-off of that is Liverpool, on the back of their win over Real Madrid, have then beaten United and demolished Villa yesterday. But Villa are not playing well at the moment. So I don't think the results in isolation over the weekend are particularly kind of startling. But all gone together, it looks as though Liverpool suddenly have all this momentum and the gap's closed and everybody wants a tight title race. But I think United just need to take a step back and say, look, we're still a point in front. We've still got a game in hand. We'd have accepted this when we went off to Japan and go from there.
Are you confident that is the scenario?
Yeah, I think, when we went away, I think we were 7 points behind. Obviously, we had the games in hand, but I'm thinking by the time we come back, and I was thinking like the end of March, we could be still playing catch-up. And they've been so brilliant since they've come back from the World Club final. They've got themselves in front, and we've got games in hand. Like you say, if we'd have had that, if you'd have offered us that in August, I'd have snapped your hands off. The manager would do as well, I think.
And of course, two talking points from the weekend: the sendings off of both Paul Scholes and Wayne Rooney. What did you make of those, gents?
I felt that in each instance, the player had to be sent off. I think Paul Scholes, unfortunately, I don't think what he's done is particularly bad in terms of, he's made a deliberate attempt to do anything. He's just stuck his hands up as a kind of reaction, and he's stopped the ball going in the net. Unfortunately, the rules as they are, he had to go. That's a pretty grievous blow after 15 minutes.
That changed the game. That made it a lot. It's a big climb uphill once you've.
But you understood the reason for the red card?
Oh yeah. The referee was right. Okay. Scholes, in his defence, I think, because the lad was only about 2 foot away from him, he's put his hands up to shield his face. He's put his foot up as well. But the thing is, once you put your hands up there, I mean, I've seen games where, especially last year, John Terry comes out on the edge, just inside the box, and moves his head away, so he's not looking, but he knows he's putting his hand into an area where the shot's going to be. And they've hit his hands, and the referee's played on because he's moved his head away. Maybe Scholes should have done that. But you've got his hands there, so, I mean, he can't... I think the referee was happy to send him off, like, but...
Well, I mean... and then,
but it
then
was
the
a
other...
definite sending off.
Well, I mean, the other one with Rooney... It's a bit more contentious. Yeah, a bit more contentious. But again, it's kind of... He's pulled the player back. That's a yellow card. And then he's throwing the ball into an area. He's obviously annoyed that the referee has pulled the free kick back. He's throwing the ball into the area where the free kick is, and he quite rightly points that out. But he's thrown it quite quickly. The referee's quite close to the situation. Now, I'm not at all saying that he's thrown the ball at the referee, but how's the referee interpreting that situation? And it's fairly easy to see why he would regard that as an aggressive act. And that is why he's got another yellow card. And you can understand that. And there's no way, you know, Wayne Rooney can protest his innocence, and that's fine. And I'm not disagreeing with him. But you can understand why the referee's reached that conclusion. And you can also understand why the referee would look at it again and say, no, I was right.
OK, it's got to stop you for the moment. We've reached half-time, so to speak. But do join us for part 2 of the United Debate Show. Welcome back to part 2 of the United Debate Show. Former United midfielder Clayton Blackmore, and alongside him at Press Association Simon Stone. Just before the break, we were talking about the sendings off, and you wanted to get in on the Wayne Rooney one. What was your view of the two bookings, and also perhaps the reaction as he went off the field as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, it is a man's game, and I mean, the first booking for me, I mean, it's very difficult for the referee. Wayne's turned into one of their players, and it's gone through the lad's legs, but the lad's clipped him. He's caught Wayne's leg. I mean, I've seen it obviously on the replay. The referee doesn't get that. So Wayne's pulled him back. It's a yellow card. You know, if you pull somebody's shirt, they've got, I think, 3 lads breaking away. Definitely a yellow card. And the second one, to be fair, I've got to agree with the referee again. He stops a quick free kick because Ryan's took it from the wrong spot. He's about 10 yards away from where he should be taking it. But, I mean, Wayne's caught the ball. He's frustrated. He's just been booked. You know, we're losing 2-0. He's throwing the ball back aggressively. But, I mean, you know, all it takes is a bit of common sense. It was too easy for him to just go and send him off. Go and have a word with him and calm him down.
So you think he had a choice there, the referee?
Yeah, I think the referees, you've got to use a little bit of common sense, but I don't think they've got any common sense anymore. When they think, oh, I mean, he's took it personally. The referees took it personally. They think, he's trying to hit me and kill me with a ball, throwing it at me. I'll give him a yellow card. See how you like that. Right. And I just think all he's got to do there is use a bit of common sense. They're there to calm everything down and, you know, keep the game flowing nice and smoothly.
Did you think the Football Association may take action over Wayne Rooney's sort of reaction to being sent off?
That depends. Well, I think that depends on...
He can do that.
Well, unfortunately,
I've seen people score and do that with the flag, so what's the difference?
Well, it depends on what the referee says.
Right. If the referee's down to the referee's report,
probably get jail.
Well, I mean, the thing is...
Clayton, you've talked about murdering with a ball in jail.
I'm not sure he'll be out of the England
game.
It's
embarrassing because I watched the game and I've seen Pansel, who'd been booked in the first half, do 2 bad challenges on Ronaldo. He stood on his ankle. I mean, he's then got the crowd whipped up because they think Ronaldo's diving. And you can clearly see he stood on his ankle. Then a few minutes later, Ronaldo's gone up for a header and he's got stud marks right down his leg. You could see he's done him off the ball. I mean, that's a red card. It's not even a yellow. And nothing happens. And I mean, that's the big thing about... But what happens then? People get really annoyed and aggressive because he's not being fair to both teams.
But the problem is that the referee is making easy decisions.
Yeah.
Pulling a shirt back, it's an easy decision. So you yellow card him. Deliberate handball, it's an easy decision. When you whack somebody down the back of the leg, have you seen that properly? They're difficult decisions to give. And that's why, you know, you end up with a situation on Saturday where Paul Scholes and Wayne Rooney, quite rightly in my opinion, but undoubtedly both been sent off for relatively minor offences. Whereas Fulham players are staying on the pitch for doing things that are far worse.
Yeah. I mean, it was a really bad challenge, the second one. I mean, Ronaldo's in the air, and he's not even, the ball's up in the air, so he's headed it, and he must be about 3 yards away from the ball, and he's kicked him on the thigh. He's that far away that I don't think obviously the referee couldn't have seen it. So then Ronaldo shows him the scars on his leg, and he starts kicking off for Ronaldo. I just don't get it.
I mean, listen, we're in a different area of debate here about what he's seen and what he's not seen. Of course, we've seen plenty of evidence down the years of incidents that have been caught on camera that weren't seen by referee, but once referee has seen it, there's no action can be taken. That's my understanding.
No, that's right. Unless the only time I remember the FA taking any action over an incident that referee has seen was when Ben Thatcher blasted Mendes into the advertising hoardings, and the FA felt that the attack was so grievous that it was far beyond the yellow card.
Why should it be different for other people?
Well, I'm just.
I don't get it.
You know, that is their.
I think that's why all the clubs. If everybody's fair to every club and everybody gets dealt with the same way, everybody's happy.
But I'll throw an interesting thought in here. The game that we were talking about, selection processes and that cluster of games. The 3 players who are going to be missing through suspension, obviously Nemanja Vidic for his second match. I'm talking about the Villa game now. Paul Scholes and Wayne Rooney. Do you think they might have been the 3 who might have been, or 3 of those who might have been arrested anyway, with Porto in mind on the Tuesday? In other words, the selection process has kind of been made easier.
Help the manager.
I wonder, and clearly Alex Ferguson is not going to tell me or anybody else outside his coaching staff, but I wonder if the players that he wants to play against Villa are the ones who are going to the furthest places during the international break, so it suits him to pull that game back and give them more time, whereas the ones who were staying around, Scholes and Rooney, Scholes because he's not playing internationals now, Rooney because he's playing for England, they've got 2 games at Wembley, they would have been around and therefore eligible to play had they not been sent off on Saturday. But the manager wants to play them against Porto, and I wonder if that's coming to his thought process as well.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think it's obviously made it a lot easier for the manager because he's got to leave him out now. But yeah, it's a good point. But you know, I mean, it is a big game for us now, Villa. We need to get something out of the game.
But the Villa game was being arranged before they'd lost against Fulham. Sure. That's the point.
Sure. And equally, Fulham do what they did to United on Saturday against Liverpool, and there's slightly obviously United will want to win the game against Villa, but that then forms a different set of scenarios, different set of circumstances, doesn't it?
I mean, United always go out to win the games.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, on Saturday when we were down to 10 men, we looked a miles better team. We made some great chances, and I think Schwarzer made a couple of great saves, and I think one even hit him on the leg where I think it was Rooney's effort. But, you know, that happens, and, you know, it's... we're always going to get the sucker punch where we've only got 2 at the back, and they had a quick breakaway and they caught us. So, you know, it flattered them a bit, 2-0.
I think the interesting thing is that for the next 2 weeks, Alex Ferguson's going to have to sit there and stew, reading how good Liverpool are, how brilliant they've been, what a great team they are, why they're groundbreaking, why they're going to finally end all this championship. And he'll have his team, whenever they play, Sunday afternoon, they'll be fully ready and, you know, raring to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because United are on all 3 remaining fronts that they could be on now, with the FA Cup, obviously, Champions League and trying to win the Premier League. And we talk about who's playing when and so on. That first leg against Porto, if United can get the kind of lead that means the tie's not academic, but the second leg is not as crucial, that's a big chance for United to make one of those games less significant in the run-in, if you see what I mean.
Well, I mean, I think with the game against Villa on the Sunday, I'd be quite happy with a 1-0 win against Porto.
Right.
As long as we don't give them a goal and we get a little bit of a lead. I mean, even 0-0, I think we're good enough to go over there and win. I think there's going to be we're going to have to play players who are playing on that Sunday against Villa, and they're going to be tired too.
Of the 7 teams they could have met, are you quite pleased Porto's the
we've had the best draw,
right?
Easily. You know, Porto. There's no easy ties. You know, you're in the quarterfinals, and you know, there's not an easy tie in there. But we're in the best. You know, if we get past Porto, well, then we've got Arsenal and Villarreal, one or the other. You know, no easy games. But the other side of the group, you know, that's a really tough place to be, and that could help us win the league. That
I take your point about the no easy ties, but
they're easier than the other side.
I was going to say,
easier than Barcelona.
Porto are not going to win the Champions League.
I got a sneaky feeling Bayern Munich they might put Barcelona out. I think
but
they're going to be really
there are 4 teams in the other half. There are 4 teams in the other half who could win the Champions League. Porto and Villarreal, who are in United's half, not going to win the Champions League. And I suspect Arsenal are not going to win the Champions League either. But that doesn't mean that they can't get to the final or they couldn't beat United.
No,
but United are going to be up against 3 teams that, if they're going to win the Champions League again, you'd expect them to beat.
It was a significant draw, wasn't it? Let's be honest. Liverpool have got to, and Chelsea have got to get past each other and then get past either Barcelona or Bayern Munich and still try and mount a challenge to Manchester United in the Premier League.
I think that was the best part of the draw, Chelsea drawing Liverpool for us, for the league and everything.
But the thing about Liverpool as well, and you can argue about Gerrard and Torres and their fitness. Rafa Benitez got to 2 European Cup finals and various semi-finals. But he's never had to challenge for a title. Yeah, he's going to come back after this international break and he's got to think, well, right, we've got to play Fulham on Saturday, then we've got Chelsea on the Wednesday, on the Wednesday, and then we've got another match and then we've got Chelsea again, and he's suddenly got to piece all this together, and he hasn't got the squad strength. Yeah. So is he going to say, right, Gerrard and Torres, there you go, off you go on Saturday, do as a business. Off you go on Wednesday, do as the business. And he's got to be asking the same players to do the work. And I just think eventually they're going to fall over. There's still 2 months of this league season left.
I think the thing for Rafa as well, the Europeans have always they always win their league to get into the Champions League, which is the Champions League's more important than the league. And I think in the last so many years, he's played his team that way. He's put his strongest team in the Champions League to win the Champions League. And I mean, I just think that's built into him. And I got a feeling he might, unless they can talk him out of it, I don't know the players, but I got a feeling he's going to rest a few of the top players when the Champions League's coming around. I
mean, it was a big defeat for Chelsea. I mean, that was a big defeat. The half-an-hour kick-off delay, they'd have known, surely, wouldn't they, that United were trailing?
No
or even lost by...
Sometimes it works against you, that. Sometimes it can work against you mentally as players. You feel like, if we win there, we're back in it, and then it takes your mind off how we were going to play in the first place.
Well, can you imagine looking at a league table, and, you're a United man through and through, you look at a league table that has Chelsea and Liverpool a point behind. I mean, that was a big defeat for Chelsea, wasn't
it? I just think it's, you get so much is talked about the mental approach now. And I mean, it came back and haunted Chelsea on Saturday. But you think about Liverpool. Liverpool play Fulham. They know that if they go top, they win the league. They go top. That puts a lot of pressure on United. Yeah. Liverpool score early. Brilliant. They're on the way. But if they get to an hour and it's still 0-0 and they're suddenly thinking, we've got this chance to get above United and we're going to blow it. And all this has got to be dealt with. And Liverpool are not used to dealing with it. It's not easy.
The good thing for us is if we do lose against Villa, we've still got that game in hand to go back to the top.
Clayton? Simon, I've got to stop you. We've reached the end. The full-time whistle has blasted. There's no added time. Thanks a lot for your time as ever. Always plenty to discuss on the United Debate Show. Join us next week from all of us here. Goodbye.